Trekcast.
The galaxy's most unpredictable Star Trek podcast.
There he is.
Hey,
Just pumping.
that's right. Love it.
What's going on, man?
What's going on? Welcome to Trekcast, everybody, the galaxy's most unpredictable Star Trek podcast. I am Scott Strongbeard Bouters, and with me is Daniel Reyes.
That's me.
Good morning. What's going on?
Good morning, man. How you been?
It's kind of a rough start to the week. I've been on vacation all week, kind of a staycation. And
Yeah, that is
Sunday,
rough.
yeah, Sunday night, just like a few hours after the podcast, the power went out for 2
Oh,
days.
no.
So yeah, we had to, we've got a generator and camping gear and
Right.
stuff like that. So we're pretty well prepared for long-term power outages. It's just really inconvenient having to
Right.
plug in the refrigerator and run the extension cords. And
Yeah.
we've got a gas fireplace that operates on a little light switch.
Okay.
And it works whether the power's on or not. Don't ask
that's
me
good.
to talk about the science behind it. It's
Yeah.
weird, but
It's sorcery.
So we got
Yeah.
cold food, we got warm people. We're good. It's just massively inconvenient.
Yeah. That would be annoying.
Otherwise,
Yeah.
it's just been kind of a chill week. I spent most of the week watching Star Trek: The Motion Picture.
Right, because it took so long. Yeah.
So,
That's our main
I just
topic,
watched
people.
it last.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's our main topic. We're talking about Star Trek: The Motion Picture.
Yeah.
The 1979 classic.
Yeah. It's something.
Boy, do I have some things to say.
Yes, me too.
For better or worse. For better or worse.
Right. I had to deep dive into it afterwards because I was like, what is going on with this movie? But
there's a lot to delve into.
Yeah, there is. There actually is. So I can't wait to talk about it.
The movie that thought it was an episode, that thought it was a movie. That
Yeah.
So,
we'll definitely jump into that for sure. And then
before we get into that, we got some Star Trek news. Or
absolutely, yeah. Let's get into that.
Star Trek news.
All right, so there's quite a bit of news, and I wanted to get to it. Our first story comes to us from Disgusting Film. Not disgusting, but discussing.
Discussing film.
Discussing film, yes.
I think that's.
I realized I kind of slurred my words there, and I was like, oh, I better say what's going on. So, I don't know if you know, but earlier this week, there was CinemaCon, and this is where all of the studios kind of present to the movie theater chains. Hey, here's what we got coming down the pike. Would love for you to help promote it and put it in theaters and all that kind of stuff. And so every major studio did a presentation. Sony, Disney, and of course Paramount, right?
Oh boy.
Yeah. So the reason I bring this up is we're going to go through kind of some of the highlights of Paramount. We won't go through everything, but a few of the highlights, and then we'll talk about something on the back end of this. So Paramount, they gave their presentation. They talked about how they're very excited for the upcoming Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning. There's going to be a new Smurfs film. I don't know if you saw the trailer, but they released the trailer for a remake of The Naked Gun, like a reboot.
I did.
Yeah. Looks like it is a reboot, not a remake necessarily, because it looks like the original ones are still in that universe.
Yeah, it looks like Qui-Gon Jinn's dad was.
That's right. That's right. It was Leslie
Yeah,
Nielsen. Yeah,
right.
yeah. They also talked about Scream 7 and a new Airbender or Avatar: The Last Airbender film. This time animated. I don't know if you ever got into that franchise.
No.
I did. It's pretty good. I like it, but it is
My
what it
son
is.
has. I'm looking forward
Yeah.
to the Final Reckoning, the Mission Impossible Final Reckoning.
Yeah,
part
me too.
two.
Those are always solid movies.
I mean,
Yeah.
regardless of how you feel about Tom Cruise, I think he's a bit of an overactor. I really can't stand him as a person. But I think
Right.
you can't deny that he's been in some okay movies.
Yeah. For
You
sure.
know?
Yeah, I am excited about those Mission Impossible films. I have a joke with my buddy that really all these movies is Tom Cruise on his quest for death, because
Yeah,
when you're
while riding a
that rich,
motorcycle.
yeah, when you're that rich, nothing's exciting. When you have the top tier of life of everything, nothing is. So the
Yeah.
only thrill he gets is trying to kill himself, and so we get to
Hold
pay
on,
him
I'm
money
getting
to
an
watch.
email from the Church of Scientology.
Oh,
Please
weird.
Do not discuss Tom Cruise involved on
Yeah,
penalty of being Okay, I guess we're not allowed to talk about Scientology then.
we're not. No.
I'm not going to talk about Scientology at all. Wait, Daniel, are you there? I can't hear you.
Yes,
Hello?
exactly.
Hello? Where'd everybody go?
Exactly. Also, they talked about Sonic the Hedgehog 4. They're going to make a fourth one of those.
Why?
They're also going to make another Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem 2. Sure.
I didn't see the first one. I've seen, I think, just about every other TMNT property.
Yeah.
But I don't know if I've seen this one.
I saw the first one. I liked it. It's fine. It's not great. It's not terrible. It's fine.
Is this CGI? This is like computer animated or like animation? Or is this more like storybook animation?
3D. Yeah, I think it is 3D, but it looks almost 2D in a way. It's an odd animation. They definitely came up with their own style, which is cool.
Okay,
but
yeah. As long as the story's good, I mean, really, the way it's animated,
yeah.
I can kind of look past anything.
There's a couple underrated straight to DVD Ninja Turtle movies. There's the one Ninja Turtles versus Batman.
I saw it. I own it. I own that.
Yeah.
There's a little collection. Yeah.
Yeah, that one's really good. And then there's
it.
the Ninja Turtles Forever, where they break into the multiverse and they have other versions of the turtles.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't know if I watched that.
Yeah, that one's pretty good too.
Batman, in Ninja Turtles and Batman versus Shredder. That fight scene was amazing.
yeah. That fight was pretty great. Anyways, back to the Paramount presentation. So what I thought was pretty interesting, and I don't know if you've noticed this, no mention of Star Trek at all.
I did notice.
Hey, we've got a movie in the works. Not we're projecting for 2027. Nothing. Not yeah. So that's where we're at with Star Trek and Paramount. So that's sad.
My thought is, it seems like it's well. Is Skydance buying it or not? I don't remember. It's been.
They're in the process. They're in the process.
They're in the process now. Okay, because the other bid that outbid them wasn't legit, and
well, they don't know. They're going to court about it. So
okay, does Skydance. One would think Skydance does want and like Star Trek because they've been involved with Star Trek before, but I don't know.
Yeah, they produced a couple of the films, so
okay, so
you would think so, but
I wonder if whoever buys it wants to spin Star Trek off into like its own thing, or I don't know, just make it its own. I don't know. Star Trek Studios.
I also wonder at this point, is Star Trek just better as a TV show and not movies?
Star Trek is better as a TV show. It's not. God, I just want to go to the movie theater and see Star Trek First Contact all over again. You know, and who doesn't? Who doesn't? I mean, after that, it just kind of went downhill. If they had the right people helming a film, then yeah, do another film. Don't do a streaming film. Actually, Star Trek has the balls to make it as a theatrical release.
Right.
So do it.
Yeah.
Do it.
Yeah.
Anyways,
absolutely.
That's my rant.
Okay. Well, then our next news story, it comes to us from The Verge. And I don't know if you saw this, but along with all the news that came out of CinemaCon, we did get a new trailer for Strange New Worlds season 3. Yeah, so there was a trailer. I will play a little bit of it here while we talk about it.
Yeah.
We'll see if we get a copyright strike on that, but we'll see. Yeah, so
it'll be so short.
There seems to be a lot going on with it. A lot of wackiness. It looks like a lot of like
that looks like a holodeck grid.
Yeah, which shouldn't be, but whatever.
But the time travel. And...
Yeah, Patton Oswalt's in there, which I like that guy, so that makes me happy.
I like Patton Oswalt.
Yeah. One thing I thought was interesting is at the end of the trailer, they show us that it will be returning this summer, which is weird because we got a release date for Europe, but not for America.
That is weird. What is do you know I have the release date, Anya?
Not offhand. I want to say it's like August or something like that. Yeah, that's what it says, summer 2025. And I looked it up. The day that it's supposed to come out in August. What is the UK release date? Can you look that up?
Yeah.
Okay. What is it? Oh, April 2nd is yeah.
Yeah, so there's this summer that
no, April 2nd would be like now.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Strange New Worlds.
Oh, that's what they're okay. Sorry. So I'm reading about all the previous release dates that have been blown through, and April 2nd was one of them.
Really?
Yeah. So we should be having Strange Worlds right now, but we don't. Yeah, but anyways, there was a date released for the UK on Sky, I think it is. And when I looked it up, that's
They're
Friday.
They're suggesting August 1st.
Okay. Yeah, when I looked it up, that's a Friday. And so typically they release Star Trek on a Thursday. So I imagine the day before would be Paramount, but we don't know that for sure yet. It almost feels like they're waiting to make the announcement somewhere.
Well, okay, then why wait? Usually that's a sign that something's not right. Or like
I don't think that. I think
or are they trying to generate buzz or
yeah, I think that's what it is.
More like that. Okay.
I think because right now, because they're in such a holding pattern with Paramount, any little bit of news that they can stretch out is to their benefit for promotion.
Okay. Yeah.
That's my thought, right? That's my hoping, trying to look for the positive in this. That's kind of what I'm thinking. Right.
Okay. Yeah, no,
so like at a Comic-Con or what is STLV maybe? I don't know if that's in August, but somewhere along that time frame they could then announce, oh yeah, it's coming up next week or 2 weeks from now or 3, whatever it is at that point. And they get the wooing group and
I don't like all the I get what they're doing. I understand, especially with what you just said about Paramount and all that.
Yeah.
It makes the fans a little wary about, the future of Trek. Didn't they already announce season 4?
They announced they're shooting it. Yes.
Okay.
So it's being shot right now.
Okay. Well then.
Yeah. I know.
That's not a guarantee of anything either. But
that's true. That's true. You can shoot whole movies and just get rid of them. So. Yeah.
Who knows?
All right, but whatever. We got a new teaser trailer, so that's fun.
What'd you think about it? What they've got at least one episode where they're doing some sort of analog. You saw them running like telephones. I mean,
Yeah, and
well, the style of telephones too leads me to believe that it's some sort of fantasy.
yeah, it looks
alternate
like
reality.
they've got this big goofy set with switches and
It looks like what sci-fi looked like back in the 50s.
Yeah, 50s, 60s kind of era. I think it's hard for me to say because we don't know the context, right? Like you can make anything look really bad or really good out of context. So that's tough. It does feel like
they're like running
they're
cables, like they're running physical cables around the ship, like they're running from the Cylons.
Yeah. It feels like they're trying new stuff, like they said. They definitely said, "Hey, we're gonna swing for the fences here. We're gonna take some big swings."
Every once in a while, it's okay to bunt.
Yeah.
Go for a base hit.
Yeah. What I do see is we're not getting Strange New Worlds as much as we're getting Strange New Outfits.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I want Strange New Worlds. I want to explore my exploring show.
Yeah, I want to explore my exploring show. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at, but
I hear you.
Whatever. Hopefully it's good. I want to be I guess I'm hesitant. And I want to be wrong about my hesitancy, but that's where I'm at with it right now.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. It's hard to talk about it without knowing more about it. So
yeah, that's the other thing. We don't know enough. So hopefully, it's good. But all right. Our next news story comes to us from Gizmodo, and I don't know if you saw this, but they have announced Wave 2 of Nacelle, the action figures, right?
Okay.
So we now know more about Wave 2. We're gonna get a Generations Captain Kirk, so that's pretty cool.
I like it.
And we also saw some of the accessories. We're gonna get a horse,
some
firewood, and a stump.
Okay, yeah.
Some eggs.
Right.
A large jar of dillweed.
Okay. Yes.
If you've ever needed a large jar of dillweed for your action figures.
No, but okay. After I saw this movie back in '94, okay, I started cooking on my own. I started looking up, what is this dillweed? What is this dillweed? So well, what did Kirk put it on? He put it on to carrying eggs.
Right.
For the last 20 years, I have put dill on my eggs, and everybody who I introduced it to loves it.
Really?
Yes.
I will have to try that. I have not tried that.
Go to the store when you put salt and pepper on your eggs, scrambled, poached, hard-boiled, doesn't matter. Try dill on your eggs. It's delicious.
Okay.
And it's all thanks to that real quick seed in Generations.
I like the idea, though, that you're going to get a Captain Kirk action figure with a horse and an axe. So he can go into battle with He-Man.
With Prince Adam Battle Cat?
Yes. So that's kind of neat.
That's great. That's great.
We did see some more figures that they've announced. So we're going to get the Captain Kirk. We're going to get a Captain Janeway from the Year of Hell Janeway is what they're saying. We're going to get the Sailor Uniform Worf. We're going to get Enterprise DePaul. Sailor Uniform Geordi.
I like the look of that one.
Yes. We're going to get Valeris from the Undiscovered Country. Romulan Commander. Carol Marcus from Wrath of Khan. We're going to get a Nog. An actual Nog. Yes.
Wow.
That I'm excited about. And Bem from the animated series, which I do not recognize that guy.
I have never seen the animated series. Yeah. We're still, several months ago, I said I was one episode into season 2 of, or maybe 2 episodes into season 2 of Star Trek: The Original Series. Yeah, we're now like 3 or 4 episodes into season 2.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So it's a slow watch.
Yeah. So those of you who've been clamoring for Bem, at last you will have your action figure.
I wonder for Valeris. I wonder if they're going to have an alternate version of her.
Oh yeah, I don't know,
because there's do you know the story about how Gene Roddenberry got super pissed at the actress Kim Cattrall?
No.
Yeah.
That business dog with detachable leg.
Oh, that'd be perfect. No, Kim Cattrall was caught. It was either Gene Roddenberry, somebody. It might have been Harv Bennett, the director. Caught her on the bridge set doing a nude photo shoot.
What? I didn't know
Yeah,
this.
yeah.
Oh wow.
Yep. Kim Cattrall. She's other than Valera, she's famous for being on Sex and the City.
Yeah.
So
Our other podcast.
yes, that's right. Yeah, the
Our
one we
other
do on
podcast.
Saturdays.
Yes, that's right. That's
right.
But
that would be funny if they did something.
Which one of
funny
these
with
figures
Nog
are you
like
most
that.
excited about?
I like the Nog, I like the Kirk,
Yeah.
and I like the LaForge just because they're visually, I think, interesting.
Yeah, yeah. I agree.
Worf, depending on what he comes, Worf should come with a plank.
Yes, Worf should come with a plank.
Yeah.
So,
and
all
Geordi should come with he put in the movie. He actually put a monocular up to his visor when he was looking out over the ocean.
Dog Green is saying, has anyone heard about the official Star Trek Lego sets? There's a flurry of rumors at the beginning of the year and then nothing.
I saw a picture somewhere, but
yeah, there's been mock-ups. People have
Lego
kind of given
Star
their
Trek
ideas.
Sets.
Yeah. Yeah, we don't know anything else new right now. It's just the information came out at the beginning of the year. I think they're scheduled to come out right around Christmas time, if they do come out.
Okay.
So I imagine we'll learn more in the summer.
Right.
Dallas wants to know. Worf should come with the blue barrel. Yes.
Oh, ouch.
Should. Yes, Worf absolutely should come with the blue barrel.
And let's see, Valera should come with two other Vulcan hands grabbing her face in a rapey mind meld.
Oh, jeez.
And Kirk should come with a partial mangled bridge wrapped around him.
Right. Yeah.
And T'Pol should come with a very sweaty, horny Trip character next to her.
Just following her around everywhere.
Right. Yeah.
All right. And then our last news story comes to us from Screen Rant. This is pretty quick, but I thought it was fun to share. So do you know who Todd McFarlane is?
Name sounds familiar.
Okay. So he's the guy behind Spawn. He created Spawn.
Okay. Yep.
He also created the design for Venom. He's a comic book artist. Also has a very successful toy company. But he recently was asked, and he gave his idea for the perfect casting of Batman, especially with James Gunn going to have his own Batman in the DCU as opposed to the Matt Reeves Batman. And you won't believe who he picked, who he thinks would be the perfect Batman.
Oh, boy.
He picked Zachary Quinto. And he cited Zachary Quinto's as Spock. He says, I'm not great with Hollywood names, but there's an actor. He might be a little too old, but he was Spock in the Star Trek movies. And he was in Margin Call. That's Zachary Quinto.
Oh, okay. Well,
yeah.
Everybody who's shaking their head and going, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard, think back to the Spock Khan fight scene.
Right.
Zachary Quinto can hold his own in a fight scene.
Right. And so what Todd McFarlane is saying is basically Zachary can play somber really well. He can play serious really well. And those are two big traits you need for Batman.
And if he can get on the Tom Hardy, diet and exercise regime that turned Tom Hardy from the I've got a waistline of a 14-year-old girl Shinzon in Star Trek Nemesis to Bane, then why not?
Right.
See, whenever we hear actors' names like this, we're like, oh, who would make a good Superman? Oh, so-and-so. Or who would make a good Batman? Oh, Alan Richardson or whoever you name, Ben Affleck.
Right.
Your initial shock or your initial just because you've never thought of it, I think you need to sort of cast aside those kind of doubts and thoughts and just go back to some of the roles that they've had that were Batman-like. As soon as you said Zachary Quinto, my first thought was, and then I thought, well, hold on a second. Zachary Quinto did that amazing fight scene in in the Star Trek, Wrath of Khan.
I mean, he was pretty menacing as Sylar in Heroes.
He was. Yep.
So he can be intense.
So I don't hate it.
I don't love it. Like, I could see it, but I don't. It's not my first choice.
What's the guy's name again? It suggested this.
Todd McFarlane.
Todd McFarlane. Yeah, and the reason why his name sounded familiar, he's been at one of the Comic-Cons that I've been to.
Oh, okay. Yeah. He's kind of popular up here where I live, because he went to Eastern Washington University, which is kind of by Spokane.
Okay.
So yeah, it's a whole thing up here. But
gotcha.
Yeah, so there you go. Todd McFarlane saying Zachary Quinto should be Batman.
All right.
And that's our news stories.
My favorite for Batman is Alan Ritson.
Yeah.
He plays Reacher.
I like him better as Aquaman, even though he already played Aquaman.
If they actually recast, we've rarely seen that though. Where people were like, "Oh, the new Flash should be Grant Gustin."
Right.
Yeah, but you never see that. It just where they go to a different franchise but same character. It's not done often.
It's not done often. I'm just saying, but all right. Well, let's get to our main topic.
Yes,
Star Trek.
will now commence.
Yeah. Star Trek the motion picture.
Fun will now commence.
All right. So our main, since we went through the Kelvin films, we're now going to go through the original films, and we start with Star Trek the motion picture, originally released in 1979, before I was born.
A year after I was born. So yeah.
A year before me, so pretty close.
Yeah. Came out in December of 79, so it was kind of a Christmas movie.
December 7th, 1979.
Yep.
It had a runtime of 132 minutes with a budget of about $44 million.
Which at the time was the most expensive feature film.
Right. So a little bit of background. I kind of read up on this a little bit. So this movie was made at a time when originally they were looking to resurrect Star Trek, but as a TV show. They were going to do what they called Star Trek Phase 2. That was the original plan. But then they saw the success of Star Wars, and they said, "Well, we got a Star show. Let's we want some of that show. We got a Star show. We want some of that sweet cheddar." So
it's like trying to get a bunch of people to a classical music concert after they've just seen a really cool rock band concert.
Right. So as studio executives think, hey, they both have star in it. It's the same.
Mm-hmm.
We'll do that. And so they made a movie. And it's a movie. They decided to because they were already working on Phase 2, so they had a bunch of scripts written for that. They took one of their favorites and decided to stretch out a 45-minute script into a 2.5-hour movie, basically. And you feel that as you watch it.
Very much so. There were script changes. The last script change was about 3.5 hours ago. Okay.
Yes.
They were making script changes and set design changes forever. In fact, the V'ger set, the main V'ger set was so large that they were filming on one end of it while simultaneously finishing up construction on the other end. So if you can imagine that, they're filming actors acting in the way actors do with film and the way cameras do, while people on the other end of the stage are pounding nails and putting everything together. So just crazy.
Yeah. This film got mixed reviews at the time. Most fans some liked it, some didn't. It was definitely different for sure. But we did see the whole cast return, so that was neat. The
Which was
Federation
a feat
calls,
because a lot of people didn't want some actors didn't want to come back.
That's
Leonard
true.
Nimoy
Yeah.
didn't want to come back because he was having an issue with Paramount because they were using his likeness in advertising syndicated Star Trek.
Okay.
So, and just a lot of people didn't want to come back because they figured, this was done. And but Robert Wise and some other people, Robert Wise was the director, convinced, they were able to convince ultimately that everybody should come back.
Everyone should
including
come
a
back.
including a few extra people like Janice Rand, the actress who plays Yeoman Rand. She was actually not doing so hot, dealing with a little bit of addiction and had some money problems. And William Shatner convinced Leonard Nimoy to help him get her a role on the movie.
Right. Yeah. The movie. What would you say was the plot of the film? We start out with Kirk is no longer in charge of the Enterprise, right? We have a different captain, Captain Decker.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Right, and it starts basically with Kirk. There's been this. So it starts with there's this cloud in space. The Klingons went to go check it out, and they got attacked by the cloud, and it instantly killed 3 Klingon ships.
Yes.
And because of that, the Federation is freaking out because this cloud is on its way to the Earth.
Killed all the Klingons, including the lead Klingon played by Mark Leonard.
Right. So at the current trajectory, it's a few days away, but it is coming. And they don't know what it is. They cannot communicate with it. They cannot stop it. They need to figure it out. And so they're going to send the Enterprise because lo and behold, the Enterprise is the only ship in the area. And so, and because
the Enterprise is at Earth.
Yeah. And because Captain Decker is new to the Enterprise, because the Enterprise is getting refit, it's a completely new ship. They decide they're going to send Kirk in charge of the Enterprise because he has so much experience with the unknown. So he basically Bigfoots Captain Decker, and he takes the command, which is kind of a jerk move in my mind, but
right. Well, they had only been done with their 5. Here's an interesting tidbit too. Movie takes place. This movie was came out 10 years after the original series was canceled. Right. But the movie takes place 4 years after we last saw them. So the 5-year mission had just gotten done, and then they spent 18 months refitting the Enterprise, and then it's supposed to be just 4 years later, which is why they used some lighting techniques and some makeup techniques to make these actors appear about the same age.
Right.
And I even read on IMDb that William Shatner was wearing a girdle, and you can actually see the lines of it in some of the scenes. And then for the subsequent movies, they decided, okay, let's just make aging part of the story. Let's just, do it in real time.
Right. So the Enterprise goes out. It's trying to investigate the cloud. Kirk very wisely decides, hey, we're not going to do a red alert. We're not going to have shields and photon, and torpedoes ready to go. Let's just go and inspect it. Let's look as passive as possible. And that seems to work. And they're investigating this cloud. They find out that the cloud is named V'ger. Because it starts scanning them. It kills one of their crew members, and then later somehow replicates that crew member, like an exact copy, is my understanding. Yeah.
It's a mechanism. They kept saying that over and over in the movie. It's a mechanism. It's a mechanism.
Yes.
Same machine. God, that's so 1979. Mechanism.
Yes.
And when the first 12 times I watched this movie, it wasn't real clear to me what they were talking about. Like, what do you mean it's a mechanism? Like, if this movie had come out today, they would have explained, they took Ilea's, down to the DNA and memory engrams and and created a robot body to blah, blah. They didn't really explain that very clearly.
No, they did not. Yeah. And so V'ger ends up creating a perfect mechanism of the person that V'ger killed, and
Who's a
throws
Delton?
was a Delton, and so that becomes the person they can talk to and ask V'ger questions. And so they are able to contact V'ger and talk to V'ger, and it ends up. I mean, spoilers if you haven't seen this very old film, but it ends up V'ger is actually Voyager, one of the space probes we sent out during the space race, and it was designed to just accumulate information, and so that's why V'ger was going around just looking for information, and had somehow fell through what they estimate fell through a black hole, ended up on the other side of the galaxy, and that meant it met a robot planet, so Cybertron, and
Right. Yep.
and the Transformers fixed it up and
Yep.
turned it
And
into
send
a
it on its way
perfect.
back to its own creator.
That's right. So yeah,
So, Voyager 6. In real life, there was only 2 Voyager spacecraft that were launched in the 50s or 60s.
yeah.
One of them, Voyager 1, is actually the only man-made object ever to reach interstellar space.
Oh wow.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
So, there's been some other things in the news about Voyager 1 or 2. I mean,
Yeah.
these things are still operating after 60 years.
Yeah, they don't make them like they used to.
Right. It's pretty amazing. It takes
Yeah.
an unbelievable amount of time for a message to get sent back, and they're
Mhm.
running on solar power. And yeah, on a sidebar, people should look up the Voyager 1 and 2 missions. They're pretty
Yeah.
interesting. But yeah, this
Yeah.
one's Voyager 6.
Mhm.
Yeah. Oh, and Decker and Ilea were actually they modeled Riker and Troy after them. So
Right.
and a lot of stuff would
Would
this
you
movie was
totally
supposed to
see
be-
it?
Oh yeah, right.
Yeah.
So a lot of the things that they were gonna make into the show, this was gonna be Star Trek Phase 2, like you said.
Mhm.
A lot of these elements would be carried over to Star Trek: The Next Generation, which would come out
Right.
8 years
Right.
later.
Yeah.
All right, where were we?
Yeah.
Where were we?
So basically, they talk V'ger down, and they're able to find the original, because Voyager came from NASA, and at this point, NASA is long dead agency, and so it took a while, but Starfleet Command is able to figure out the response codes, because that's what V'ger's looking for, is the response codes saying, "Hey, you're back home. So don't kill anything anymore."
And after 300 years, they happen to have those response codes in Starfleet
Somewhere.
records.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so they get the codes. V'ger's like, okay, V'ger phone home, and starts downloading all the information it accumulated. So we're good to go. You there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. So yeah, so that's how it ends. That everything's fine. They get all the information. It's explored for Starfleet. So now it's just giving them all their information, and we're done now. I guess. Like, it's
Yeah.
It's definitely, there's a lot of just really long shots for no reason other than we spent a lot of money on these models, so we're gonna get our money's worth.
Right. There was an excruciatingly long shot at the beginning of the reintroduction of the original refit Enterprise.
Yep.
And I understand why they have to do that. They have to make it movie worthy. The original
Right.
Enterprise would have looked ridiculous on the big screen, and that's why they did the same thing in Generations. They had to get rid of the Enterprise D because its lines, proportions, the models didn't film well on feature films.
Right.
But I didn't have really a problem with that. The soundtrack, the main theme was from they reused that in Star Trek: The Next Generation.
Mhm.
And another thing, a good friend of mine, Gabe, sent me this. something I didn't know about the sound they made for V'ger was made by a blaster beam instrument.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Anybody, you should Google that. It basically looks like a 16-foot long guitar.
Right.
And very cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
So that's what made that unique sound.
Yeah. Majel Barrett also returned as Christine Chapel. So that was cool. And she was now a doctor. Yeah. So that's cool.
You know, that's one thing I was talking to my wife about. Is that I don't think that's a common path to go from nurse to doctor.
It is typically not, as far as I understand.
I mean, I get why a layperson might think that. Like you go from, you know, like you should, in my mind, why can't you just, with more education, go from nurse to physician assistant to MD? But they're different paths of medicine. They're not, you know.
From what I understand, it's more common to go to physician's assistant to doctor.
Right.
That's more along the lines.
Typically, if you're a nurse and you get more education, you become a higher ranked nurse. I've got cousins. A lot of cousins that are nurses. And
I think you can even get a doctorate in nursing.
I think you can too. Yeah.
Because
like I said, I think it's a different, like it's still medical related, but it's a different.
It's different
direction.
Yeah. So. Like the way I've had it explained is like doctors are figuring out what the issues are. Nursings are like figuring out how to alleviate symptoms.
Right.
So it's a little bit different. But I could be wrong. If we're wrong, let us know. And then we'll tell you how you're wrong.
Let us know. Oh, the internet never lets people know.
The internet is just passive. It never wants to correct you.
They would never say anything like that.
No, they would never. No, the internet's fine. It's totally fine. Another thing too that's brought up in this film that I thought was interesting. It starts out with, or at least we're seeing introduced to Spock trying to do the colon R, where he's purging all of his emotions to be fully Klingon or fully Vulcan. And so when he returns to the ship, he's kind of a little bit cold at first. He's like dressed in black. He's a little bit, he's emo Spock. Right,
emo Spock, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
He warms up a little bit, but eventually. But at first, he's just does not care. He even mentions too that he can feel a presence from V'ger, and that V'ger is perfect logic, which then is kind of a nod to it's a robot. So
yeah. I was just gonna look at some of the. Persis, I'm going to get this name right. She played Ilea. Persis Kambata. She's an Indian actress from Bombay. She was born in 1948. Tragically, she died in 1998 at the age of 49.
Oh, wow.
I thought she did a great job. Not a lot of... what was her race again? Deltans. Not a lot of Deltans that we've seen. We saw one in the last Star Trek movie in Section 31.
Yeah, we saw one on Section 31, and apparently they make you very amorous.
Yes, that's I like the word. Yeah. In fact, I watched the movie last night. I also watched all the deleted scenes.
Okay.
Because I like you suffer for the people.
That's right.
And there's a scene where somebody asked somebody asked Sulu, show Ilea, Sulu's at the helm, and Ilea, I guess, is at ops. And I think Decker asks him, I need you to show her this button sequence or whatever. And he kind of gets up and stumbles a little bit as if he's hiding his arousal.
Oh, okay.
It's a funny scene.
That's interesting. That's interesting.
So yeah, good actress. I thought she did a good job on that.
What did you think of the movie? Did you enjoy it? Did you not?
It's funny because I was talking to my wife last night about this. I'm watching all these movies with a fresh pair of eyes.
Yeah.
And these fresh pair of eyes are that of a Star Trek podcaster.
Right.
Okay. So I'm taking mental notes when
Yes.
I wouldn't before, and
Right.
I'm also watching special features, some of which I wouldn't watch before, and
Right.
I'm reading
Yeah.
notes and things like that, and going online.
Yeah.
I I have an understanding, a little bit more of appreciation for what they were trying to do, and some of the constraints they were under, and some of the time constraints, and they were being rushed, and it went from let's revive it to Star Trek Phase 2. Oh no, we want to turn this into a motion picture. Now we have to
Right.
rewrite the script. And there's going to be a lot of chefs in the kitchen, and so although the movie was very, very flawed and it was very, very slow paced, I really liked the story. I liked the visual effects were. See, and that's another thing. I watched the Blu-ray version, which had updated visual effects, and so one of the things I was trying to do is differentiate. Going, oh, I remember the original one, it looked like this, and now it looks like that. So
Right.
they didn't like completely redo it. They didn't like Star Wars it, where they added a bunch of extra stuff. What they allowed them to do was go ahead and finish what your original plan was. So instead of matte paintings, they made it digital. And
Right.
so it looked a little better.
Yeah.
But I there's not a lot of Star Trek movies that I don't like. And
Right.
I wouldn't. This is like 50-50 for me.
Yeah. It's on the lower tier, maybe.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
definitely on the lower tier, but I do appreciate what they were trying to do.
Yeah. Watching it, I realized I'd never seen this full film.
Oh,
I'd
really?
seen clips, yeah, but I'd never seen the whole thing by itself.
Okay.
And I watched it without reading anything about it. I didn't know any of the background, but I'm sitting there watching it and I'm going, this was an episode and they just stretched it out.
Very
It's
much
very
so.
clearly that. And then I read it. That's exactly what it is.
Yeah. It felt to me, and I mentioned this to my wife last night. This feels like watching, because it's a long movie. This feels like watching 3 original series episodes, and one of them's good.
Yeah. Well,
And they just
and I felt
edited
like
them
it was
together.
I felt like it was just one episode that they stretched out. That's why, like, if you took all the long shots out of it, you're gonna drop already half an hour out of this movie.
Oh,
And
easily.
that's
Yeah.
not a joke. Like, it is literally that many long shots, right?
The introduction of the Enterprise is famously long.
Yeah, I think it's like 4 or 5 minutes, which is a lot of time in a movie.
In movie time, that's 4 or 5 pages of script that could have been spent on character
the
development.
opening
That's one of the
credits are
things
forever.
I got confused because on my Blu-ray copy,
Yeah.
I put the Blu-ray in. I get through the menus, and I finally go to push play, and the screen blackens, and for a solid 2 minutes, they play Star Trek-ish music.
Yeah.
And I thought there was something wrong with my video.
Yeah,
And
I thought so too.
So you experienced this too?
I was watching on my stream. Yeah.
Okay, just as I was about to like mess with the AV connection, my HDMI connection, the video popped on. Like the Paramount logo came out. I'm like, what the hell was that?
Yeah.
So, I guess they were trying to, put us in the mood.
They were trying to pad the time, man. I'm looking at the Rotten Tomato scores. Critically, I had a 52%, so half and half liked it. With the audience, it was a 42%, so even less people liked it.
And these are current, obviously.
Yeah,
Rotten Tomatoes didn't exist in 1979. So, as a hardcore Star Trek fan, it's nice to see Kirk and Enterprise and Scotty and all these people and familiar elements, hearing Starfleet, that but it's just really long.
Well, and I think what's very jarring, especially for you and me, is we just saw the Kelvin films, which is nothing but nonstop action, and just moves, right? And then we go to this,
and amazing visuals.
Yeah.
A couple of nice scenes though. One that I wanted to mention was the gathering scene at the beginning of the film when he's like, assemble the crew.
Yes.
it's the first time in Star Trek history, and I don't think there's been a lot of time since then, where it looks like the entire crew, like 150, 200 people, are actually in that room, and those are all extras, and most of them are just Star Trek fans.
Yeah.
In fact, in the DVD, in the commentary, in the one of the extra scenes, they do an interview with 5 or 6 of the people that were actually, they're just regular people. They're just civilians
that's awesome.
that were in that in that extra scene. They just talked about, how'd you get on and how'd you get on, so
yeah.
Who it was
to be? Yeah,
right, exactly. So
Yeah.
I thought that was cool, because normally when you hear like Captain Janeway assemble the crew in Cargo Bay 1, and there's like the senior staff plus like 3 people.
Yeah. right.
So I did like that scene.
Yeah, I like that scene too. I like that there was a couple people clearly in makeup, to be aliens. That was pretty cool. There was an Andorran there that I saw, and a few others.
Yep.
The sets were impressive, especially nowadays, where a lot of that would just be computer generated, or what they use the volume or the holodeck, as Paramount calls it. So it was cool to see giant physical sets.
Yep.
The Enterprise too, like those sets too. They shot a lot. They made a lot of big sets for the Enterprise too.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And that was
and
very
some
impressive.
of them were visual, like the engine room scene where you see the conduit go down like several hundred feet. That set was only 40 feet long. And the way they did that was they just forced perspective. They actually had actors that were progressively shorter actors.
Oh wow!
Down the set, so it looks like it's several hundred feet. It's only a 40-foot set.
Oh, that's interesting. Huh.
Yeah,
that's very cool.
As far as filmmaking,
right?
They had a big budget, and some of the actors didn't like the fact that it turned from a character-driven show to a special effects movie.
Right.
A lot of the actors were concerned because there wasn't a lot of. Now, it's not that we need a lot of character development from Kirk, because he's he just went from commanding the starship to being behind a desk for 2.5 years, but there wasn't a lot of dialogue in the characters expressing how they felt, expressing what they were going through, their interactions.
They were just stating facts and what's going on.
And when I saw Spock, Kirk, and McCoy sitting in that room together at the beginning of the film, I thought there's no chemistry between these 3 characters right now. And that's Spock, Kirk, and McCoy. That's the big 3.
Right.
But there wasn't, and that's what the actors were complaining about. There just wasn't any chemistry between any of these actors who had chemistry before. And they all said the same thing. They thought it was going to be fun shooting together, like a reunion, and it just wasn't. Yeah. It's astonishing that Star Trek, The Wrath of Khan got made.
Or that Star Trek has survived this long, honestly.
Right.
But yeah. Well, I think that's pretty much everything we need to say about the film. So we should probably get into listener feedback.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, because it's a movie against a cloud, and that didn't work for Green Lantern, and it didn't work for Kirk.
Nope. Not at all.
Yeah. All right, so let's get to listener feedback.
Let's do it.
Listener feedback.
All right, so I did post in several social media groups. I made a meme. Do I still have it on here? I do not. Basically, let me see if I can find it real quick over here. I put a picture of Spock looking all emo and Jared Leto. Yeah, here it is. I will show it right now. Both wearing the black robes.
Who wore it better?
I said, yeah, who wore it better? Because they're both in black robes. And surprisingly enough, in just, in all the Star Trek groups I posted it in, everyone seemed to go with Spock. So
yeah, I think Spock wore it better.
yeah. I did think it was funny. Somebody called me out. They're like, you put Jared Leto's real name, and then he put Leonard Nimoy's character name.
That's because we don't care about Jared Leto's character.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I almost wanted to say, if you can tell me what movie that was from, then you got me. And the character.
I have no idea.
It's from the Blade Runner remake that he was in, or reboot.
Oh, I
And
thought you were
yeah.
gonna say like, wasn't he in a Marvel something?
No, he was Joker though. I don't know if you remember.
Oh, that's
that.
right. See, that's how forgettable he is.
Yeah.
Sorry
Yeah,
if you're a Jared Leto
exactly.
fan, but
Yeah.
Yeah,
We
he's a
also did
zero
get a
burger.
voicemail.
Oh,
So before I forget, let's play that now, because last time we
Alright.
forgot and we played it really late. So we'll play that voicemail as well.
Hey guys, morning. Anyways, motion picture, good film. Give it a 3.5 out of 5. Pacing issue, uniform use and color. Overall, feels like an extended episode of TOS, but
Pretty much.
that shot of the Enterprise. Still the best shot in all the series when it comes to ships. Love it. Anyways, peace.
yeah.
There we go.
He summed up our entire Trekcast episode in 1 minute.
Yeah. Basically,
Yeah.
basically, that's our little felt furry friend
Yep.
has returned. So
Yeah, love it.
Yeah.
Love it. No,
and if you want to be turned into
right.
if you want to be turned into an animated creature as well, leave us a voicemail. That would be at 570-661-0001, 570-661-0001. And yeah, we'll play your voicemail. We'll animate your voice,
Sure.
and it'll be fun.
And that's just a Google voicemail. Nobody's going to answer the phone. It's just
nobody's going to answer the phone.
Just if you just want to call and say, "Hey, hi, I listen to the show. My name is so and so." Don't leave your name. It doesn't matter. We're not
if somebody does
down.
answer, yeah. If somebody does answer, it's like the phone service in John Wick. So you'll be excommunicado.
Yeah.
So there's that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Oh.
But all right. We got Chazbiz on the line, so let's bring him in. Chazbiz, how are you, man?
What's going on?
Hey,
Good morning.
Good morning. Did you watch Star Trek: The Motion Picture?
No, I watched War and Peace instead. So.
Oh, geez.
Oh boy.
Another long.
Yeah. Yeah. Have you ever seen Star Trek: The Motion Picture?
Yes.
Yeah.
I love the look at his face as he slowly shakes his head. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I remember when I discovered that Wrath of Khan was the sequel as a kid. I was like, there's another Star Trek movie out there? I'd never seen it before because it was never replayed on HBO or anything. So I saw I think it was in high school when I first
William
watched
Shatner was equally as surprised that Star Trek 2 got made.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
he said in an interview after this movie came out, he's like, well, that was it. It was a good run, but Star Trek is dead.
Yeah. Well, okay. If Phase 2 came out in the 70s, would Star Trek still be alive?
Ooh.
If they had these outfits, and they had Decker and Aaliyah,
has a tendency to kill franchises.
Yeah.
Although Next Generation didn't kill Star Trek, even though everybody
but Wrath of Khan, kind of retooling it, rebooting it.
I think it
really
would be
helped out.
along the lines of Lost in Space.
Yeah.
Like that series, right?
Yeah.
There would have been a reboot movie in the 90s, probably.
Okay,
there would be reboot attempts in TV, like they did the Lost in Space Netflix show.
Which both the movie with Matt LeBlanc, which has the best line of any sci-fi movie of all time,
which is
I thought was good. And the monkey throws the switch.
Yeah,
I just loved it. Earlier in the movie, he's complaining that a monkey could fly the ship. And they tell him to go, and he just kind of sits back in his chair, and the monkey throws the switch.
Right.
And I just thought I loved it. I love Matt LeBlanc in that movie. Up until the last third, I thought it was a really, really good movie.
The only reason why I remember that movie is because the movie theater I saw it in had a blown speaker.
Oh, geez.
And it was
that'll make it memorable.
That made it memorable.
Plus,
I remember that speaker just going off, and it's just like, man, this is ruining this movie. Right?
Heather Graham was easy on the eyes.
Yeah.
William Hurt.
Was it Lacey Chabert or whatever?
Yep.
Oh yeah.
You forgot about Gary Oldman.
Gary Oldman.
That's right. I
Always
forgot he
makes a
was there.
fantastic
Yeah,
villain.
he played the doctor. on
Yeah.
there. And Gary
That's
Oldman's
right.
a great actor.
And what'd you think of the reboot series? They did what, two seasons, two or three
I
seasons?
think-
I watched
2
first
or 3.
episode and I was out.
Yeah,
Really?
I only watched
Really?
one episode. And,
My
yeah,
problem with Netflix shows sometimes the pacing's really, really slow.
yeah,
And if the pacing's too long, like they get the hour, but they don't have to use the full hour.
Right.
yeah, yeah.
You know, it's like we're used to,
Sometimes-
you know, when you watch Star Trek, it's only 42 minutes.
I've heard it's good though.
It is
Yeah, I
good.
heard it's
It
better.
Is it good?
But with pacing, with episodic stuff like that, sometimes, and they talk about this on the Delta Flyers, when you have, let's say you have 10 episodes in a season and you have 8 different directors or 10 different directors, the pacing can get changed dramatically, jarringly, because you have one director that likes, fast in your face, and then the next episode is slow paced and methodical, and then the next episode is something completely different. So that can be a problem sometimes.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah,
And I noticed that with most of these series that sometimes they're really fast and sometimes they're just boring. And then I watch the first 2 episodes, then I'm out
yeah,
and never finish it. So
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Huh.
and of course now, with series, like we got to wait 2 years to get the second season, or the third season. It's like
Yeah, it's gonna be like almost 3 years between Strange New World season 2 and 3.
yeah,
Like 2.5 years. Yeah,
Oh
yeah.
my
yeah. That's why it seems so long. And, because
Yeah.
I was sitting there thinking, I was like, "Is this season 4?" And I was like, "No, this is season 3.
Yeah.
It should be
I
season 4."
I read somewhere this will be the longest we've waited for a cliffhanger
Whew.
because
What was the cliffhanger?
I don't even remember.
the Gorn are attacking.
Okay, so the Gorn are attack. I have no idea.
They-
I'm gonna have to rewatch season 2 before.
Yeah, they're on
Yeah.
that planet, and the Gorn are attacking the planet, and so like some of them are down on the planet, or I think it's a.
So is that what that
an
shot
asteroid or whatever.
was? I saw them, shooting, and I saw the
Yeah.
Gorn ships flying. So
Yeah,
so
that
Gorn
should be the
Wars.
end of the cliffhanger, because like the Enterprise is out in space fighting some Gorn. There's Gorn on the planet, and some of the crew's down there. So it's split. They're either way they're being attacked by the Gorn.
Well, I'm
I can
glad
tell you
said
one
that.
thing: season 3 was definitely not being shot before season 2 came out.
Right.
Well, remember you had the writer's strike.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
true.
Writers and
Yeah.
actors
and we're
strikes
still
at the same
probably
time.
back then. We're still probably dealing with a little bit of tail end of COVID, and
Mm-hmm.
Mhm. Well, that strike just set everything back, and it's really hurt the theaters right now.
Mm-hmm.
oh yeah, yeah.
Because CinemaCon was last week, and they showed Superman and all these other shows. So
Right.
What'd you think of the Superman trailer? The new
I thought it
one?
was pretty cool, and I'm ready for it. A lot of
Yeah.
people were like, "Why is the dog doing that?" And I was like, "A dog doesn't know you're hurt.
Also,
Yeah.
crypto. In the
Yeah, a
comic
dog
books,
will hop on you."
Yeah, crypto in the comic books is a very bad boy. He's
Is
a
he?
very
Okay.
mischievous. Like
Yeah.
he's not like a chill dog. He gets into
Yeah.
trouble. He chews things up. He is a traditional.
He's a dog.
He's a dog.
Yeah.
And another thing that the people had a problem with in the trailer, spoiler alert if you haven't seen the new Superman trailer,
Yeah.
is that Superman is being healed from his injuries. He's got 14 broken bones and several like
Punctured
lacerated,
lung
punctured
and-
lung
yeah.
and bladder and stuff. And their solution is to get a concentrated beam of sunlight, yellow sunlight, onto him. And Superman's response is he's writhing in pain. And people are like, "Oh, so sunlight now hurts Superman?" No. He's being 14 bones are being put back together, and his internal organs are regenerating.
Right.
That's going to be
You know,
painful for anybody.
He's probably not used to being in pain.
Right.
Right. Yeah, it's probably not used to being in pain. And when you have those kind of, it's the healing process that's
Yeah.
painful, not the, I mean, if he was normal, he could, like go up and lick the sun. It wouldn't hurt him, but he's horribly damaged
I
right
like
now.
to see him lick the sun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Take a big old scoop like ice
Wait,
cream. out
I'm
of it.
sorry. What was that? What was that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh God. Oh God. No.
Oh, that's going to be a meme.
Yeah. Yeah. That is definitely going to be a meme. Wow.
Hey, Scott, who had the stronger beard, McCoy or you?
Oh, I got to give it to McCoy. Oh my goodness. That was a strong, you mentioned beard. That was the one last thing in my notes too. we were talking last night as we were watching the movies. Like, is that a
Mhm.
hairpiece? I'm like, pretty sure everybody's wearing a hair. I definitely know William Shatner is wearing a hairpiece.
Oh,
Hey,
for sure. For
I'm,
sure.
Check that out
I'm
of your
fairly
mouth.
certain that
That
every
is real
single
hair.
yeah, right.
That's
I'm
what
pretty
I'm
sure every Uhura, McCoy, Decker,
Well, Nimoy
even.
definitely.
I think Nimoy. I think they all had hairpieces.
Oh, the Dalton.
Even the Dalton was the only one. In fact,
And she was a model. She was hot.
Yeah.
she was a model, and she had Gene Roddenberry take out an insurance policy on her hair in case it didn't grow back. But it
Oh
didn't.
wow.
Oh man,
Yeah.
yeah, because she was really smoking hot, and she had to
Yeah.
shave her head for that role.
Yeah, she shaved her head
bald.
for it, and
And
that
you
was
think-
real au naturel.
Think how
too.
often you have to shave it to get it that bald. So she
Yeah, yeah.
Oh yeah, yep.
every day.
So that's
Yeah.
a bold move.
And most
for
people are
a
like,
woman.
you know, you could have wore a bald cap.
Yeah,
You can always tell with bald caps, though.
that's true.
I don't know. Well, you know, guys, it's easier to shave our heads, but girls, you know,
Right.
their hair means a lot to them.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
What do you think about that? Did you guys mention the transporter accident on there?
Oh no.
Oh no, yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah, that is the most shocking scene I remember.
But it
was
has like nothing to do with the script. Like
That
it
was
doesn't
No,
straight
matter.
but still, it was just like,
They
holy
had to
crap.
have a way to get rid of the science officer
Yeah.
and the navigator.
Yeah.
What,
there
was it the doctor that died? He was.
No,
I
it was
think so.
it was the science officer, and then in the script, but not in the movie, they said it was the navigator. So
Okay.
it was the Vulcan science officer that Kirk met
Okay.
before his meeting with Starfleet. It was
You,
him.
you know
and
how
then-
you could have fixed that too and not have to murder characters. Just been like, yeah, when I took
Jesus.
command of the ship, I told Starfleet I want these people. And
right?
they said okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, but it made it cooler because you're like, we never seen a transporter accident like that.
Yeah.
that was the most depressing thing I'd ever heard.
You see why Bones is always like freaked out about him.
Kirk is like, Starfleet, do you have them? There's a short but very long pause. Well, we got back, didn't live long,
Right.
unfortunately.
Yeah.
That sent chills through my spine.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So why didn't they just phase him and like put him out of his misery?
Is this the only Star Trek movie where they don't fire a phaser?
Ooh.
That was another thing I was thinking.
That's a good
No,
trivia
belay that phaser.
Ooh, yeah, when they're talking
Yeah.
slow.
Yeah,
Back
yeah,
off.
yeah.
Photon torpedo away.
Yes.
They're headed to time dilation distortion from the
Yes.
wormhole. Oh, that was giving me a headache.
What cracks me up is that they bring in the director that directed The Sound of Music to
Mhm.
direct this sci-fi epic here. And it's like,
Oh, did Bob Wise direct the Sound of Music?
yeah,
I didn't know that. Okay, all right. I
yeah,
didn't
it was
look
like
up
he's
his
an Oscar
credits.
winner. Yeah,
Yeah.
but you know, two different kind of genres. You almost
Well,
needed
yeah.
somebody that would do like maybe action or something at the time.
hmm
I was like, bring
Yeah,
in
he did do
somebody-
The Sound of Music and Citizen Kane. He did
Yeah.
the editing for that. Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Well, I
Bring in
mean,
William Friedkin at the time, or bring in well, Lucas was too busy, Spielberg was too busy.
He also
They
did The
could've
Day Stood Still and Andromeda Strain. So
Andromeda, man, that's a slow movie, but it's a good, you know, kind of creepy, like epidemic. You know, something's coming.
yeah. No, but I'm just saying he did have sci-fi chops, so I get why
Yeah.
they brought him in. For sure. So
I mean, yeah, he did.
I was
fine.
like,
He did
now
fine.
I understand why the
Yeah.
Andromeda Strain was so slow.
Yeah.
he had a lot of people that had his back, you know, Roddenberry and Shatner, and you know, I think he
Mhm.
did fine
Yeah.
as far as I don't have any problem with the direction.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with the
When
direction.
we get to Nemesis, then I will have some words to say about the director, because Stuart
Yeah.
Baird or whatever the hell his
Yeah.
name is, I don't care. Don't correct me. Stuart piece of crap director. I can't stand that guy as a director.
Well, he almost
I'm
killed
Right.
Star Trek. If you think about it. So
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, he was-
when
he
he
was
killed
close.
the next gen movies, he completely like.
And
Yeah.
I'll tell this, I'll tell this story again in a few weeks, but I looked into Jonathan Frakes' eyes
Mhm.
and I said, if you had directed Star Trek 8 or Star Trek 9 and 10, they would be making Star Trek 23 right now. And he knew what I was talking about, and he looked at me
Yeah.
and he just said, "From your mouth to God's ears."
Yep.
So he knew.
Yeah, he knew. He
Yeah.
knew.
But anyways,
All right.
other than that, I have
Yeah.
nothing to say about the man.
Fair enough.
Any other thoughts on Star Trek
great.
the Motion Picture, Chaz?
Just too long. I didn't need how long did it take Spock to float to feature? So
About 4 hours
yeah.
in movie time. I'm sure it took 19 hours.
And then there's the director's cut of this, which makes it longer. And I remember, they released it a couple of years ago in the theater, and I always see movies in the movie theater.
Oh sure.
And I was like,
Yeah.
my wife's like, "Do you want to see the motion picture?" And I'm like, I do, but I know if she came with me, she wouldn't ever see a Star Trek movie with me ever again. So I was like, let's set this one out. We'll see Wrath of Khan or The Voyage Home or some of the fun ones. Okay. And
Undiscovered Country, Star Trek Generations was the
That
first
is the
Star Trek
only
movie I
one
saw in the theater, and I never saw Undiscovered Country in the theater. So
they don't replay that one. They always replay Wrath of Khan, Voyage Home, or some of the next gen movies. They never play Undiscovered Country because that's probably my favorite Star Trek movie out there. So.
I saw a lot of people were watching First Contact yesterday for First Contact Day. So,
oh, really?
Yeah. And I'm looking forward to First Contact for a number of reasons, but I did a Star Trek movie rewatch about 3 years ago.
Okay.
So,
probably during COVID when everybody was bored.
Yeah, we weren't living. It was before the house was built, and so we were watching them once a week, and then we stopped we watched Generations and then stopped.
Oh, okay.
So within the last 3 or 4 years, I've seen all the movies up to First Contact, which is my favorite next gen. Film.
Right.
So I'm looking forward to this rewatch. And now that we've gotten the motion picture out of the way, it's a little bit more. I mean, we still have to do the Final Frontier, but
Wrath of Khan I've seen in the movie probably the most. So in the theater. So and
the Star Trek movie I've probably seen the most is probably a toss up between the Undiscovered Country, which I saw a lot.
It'd be 5 and 6 because it was on HBO like all the time replayed as a kid.
Okay, my buddy, in fact, the same one that gave me the tidbit about the soundtrack, Gabe, he used to come over to my house all the time when we were younger, and we would watch the Undiscovered Country. We have other options, but it was like, let's just, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So we would just watch Undiscovered Country over and over and over again.
Nice.
So, I definitely remember it. So I bet Dan will be back next week for the episode.
Oh, for Wrath of Khan, maybe.
Yeah. I was like, I think he sat this one out and was like, it's a motion picture. I'll sleep in today.
He's like, I'm not watching this.
I can't really blame him.
Yeah.
I can't really blame him.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, we should probably wrap it up because it sounds like we're getting close to the end.
Okay.
Okie dokie.
But if you guys want to follow us on social media, we definitely are out there.
Guys, there's a lot of content out there. Our Facebook group, check us out on YouTube and X and TikTok, Instagram. So
we're now officially over 15,000 on Instagram.
Oh wow, that's
are you verified on X? Did you pay the
no? God no, no.
the check mark, the blue check mark.
No.
Yeah, we don't.
I'm not paying for that.
And if you want to send us an email, trekcasttng@gmail.com. If you want to send me an email, it's strongbeard1701@gmail.com. So if you want to talk some crap, go right ahead.
That's right.
Your beard isn't strong.
Hey, you don't have to get mean.
I'm even throwing it out, and I got my Voyager shirt on today. I'm doing
nice.
A Voyager rewatch,
I like it.
So,
I like it.
Do you color your beard?
No, I don't. And the camera's not picking it up, but there's a little bit of gray in there.
Yeah.
But I display my gray.
It's like the grays.
Yeah. But it's getting pretty
nice. Nice. All right. Well, we'll be back next week with Wrath of Khan. So hopefully you guys will watch that and talking about that one. So awesome. All right. We'll catch you guys next week.
Bye.
Yeah.
This is Captain Benjamin Sisko of Deep Space Nine and Space God to the Bajorans. I have a mission for you. This falls outside of Starfleet guidelines. so I can't order you, but I'm asking for volunteers. Volunteers who will subscribe to the Trekcast YouTube channel, leave 5-star reviews on your podcast app of choice, and share Trekcast across your social media accounts. If we can make our audience bigger, we might have a chance against the Dominion. Are you ready? Subscribe, like, and share. Are you with me?